because you were the only commissioner.
I was the only commissioner for a lot of years. I love.
You ready?
Yeah.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if we could have a prayer, we have the Rabbi Shava Bailey here, or how you say it, is Saban?
Or Safon means northern
Safon.
light, and Chava, like if you've ever heard a cat vomit, like that, and then add Ava, that's actually the correct pronunciation of my name. So friends, may I?
If you could,
Oh.
because we're broadcasting,
Oh, yeah,
that way
yeah.
people at home can watch it.
They can see you, and then there's a microphone so they can hear you.
Oh, maybe it would be better if not. Okay. So beloveds, may I invite you to receive a breath. Shalom, salam, pax vobiscum, let there be peace. Peace in every country, peace in every city, peace in every heart. Let there be peace. Holy siblings all, I ask that we be blessed for these 3 minutes to breathe, to slow down from the busyness of the day, and in this tiny Sabbath, let our innate decency and kindness have the floor. We ask for peace in mind and heart, peace among our neighbors, and stewardship of this place we have the privilege to enjoy and love. Miigwech Anishnaabeg. May we breathe and pause just a little more in order that we discharge more nobly our mutual obligations as staff, elected officials, and neighbors. Let us soften just a hair's breadth from our harsher instincts, too often on display in civic discourse. It is time, in the name of all that we would call sacred or treasured, to return to being the helpful, hopeful people we were before enmity and againstness came to hold sway unchecked. May we all return to the singular ideal, the common thread we share, common to every faith, tradition, and rational practice in this county. Love thy neighbor. There are at least 17 diverse denominations, religions, and life philosophy groups represented in this county, and we all agree on one thing, and that is love thy neighbor. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. Friends, let ours be the eyes that meet one another, the arms that embrace one another, and the voices that soothe ourselves and each other. May our eyes this evening be the eyes that soothe us, and may we represent to each other an unending love.
Thank you.
We'll all rise, please, for the pledge of allegiance to the Roman Catholics. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Rushton,
Present.
Chairman Bonney,
Here.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Stonesboro,
Here.
Commissioner Allgaier,
Here.
Commissioner Wagner,
Present.
all present.
All right, then we have approval of board minutes. I think we've all looked at the closed session. So that's taken care of. So I would say let's not do the one for November 9th. We have a motion for Commissioner Rushton.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the executive board sessions of September 14th, 2021, and the executive board session for October 5th, 2021.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. So that brings us then to, I have no, the public, yes.
Should we approve the closed session minutes?
If you would, that'd be great.
If everyone
Oh,
read them, I would.
I'm
She
sorry.
only said the first two.
I know, but don't you do all that?
You approve them and open, we only go back into close if you have to make a correction to them.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I would move to approve the closed session meeting minutes of November 9th, 2021.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. Sorry about that. I thought we just did that each personally.
Oh, that just shows that's a proof that you all read them in case we're ever challenged.
All right, so then that brings us to public comment.
Approve the agenda.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, we didn't do, okay, yes, approval if there's no late additions or deletions. Go ahead.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, say no.
Just, Mr. Chairman, the
Yes.
two people scheduled to give presentations had conflict will not be here.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. So then that brings us to public comment. If there's any public comment, please come forward. Yes. You have to come up and identify yourself so that, and then you can speak into the speakers.
Good evening again, friends. My name is Chava Bailey, and I am a resident of Suttons Bay. I want to apologize first. My husband serves on the village council in Suttons Bay, and I always find it irksome when people leave after the part of the meeting that pertains to them only. I have to apologize because I have a head injury and these lights are a perfect recipe for a migraine. So I apologize that I will take my exit. When I pray for all of you, as I do, well, daily-ish, I know, along with everyone else, that your coming together here is frequently marked with great anxiety. How could we hope that our county would escape the pandemic of againstness that is currently crippling and undermining our nation? Many of us are deeply saddened by this. That could never happen here was both hopeful and naive. Unless I am wrong, no one here arrives with a secret longing for rancor. I read about the incredible backgrounds of service and richly varied expertise you bring. I read about each of you deeply, as much as was available in public. And I read about your hopes for your children, your grandchildren, and other people's children, and you share together a beautiful loving for this county. But as a whole, you are not letting us see much of that shared beauty, of your compassion and your vision. Instead, unfortunately, we read weekly and hear monthly about acrimony in this august chamber. And I am making a guess that this may be even more energy sapping for you than it is for us. I would suggest the discontinuation of the opening words policy, not only because it is exclusionary, but because our words don't seem to matter. To invite people in front of you to lend gravity to the meeting and to raise up what is best in our shared humanity, and then to consistently not heed what we say, speaks of a policy that is both ineffectual and exclusionary. I cannot tell you the frustration that my colleagues and I experience when we come here and ask our leaders and our fellow citizens to work together. We have begged you and the community to live up to the ideal of loving our neighbors, and our words seem to have no effect. I believe in my heart of hearts, that it is possible to transform this body into a collaborative working entity. I believe this is possible. I believe in you, and I believe that you have the potential to model collaborative governance, keeping in mind that any majority also has responsibilities to the minority voices. The best governance is collaborative, not driven by party, but driven by listening to all voices and creating actions where we may all have to give up a little something to move the ball down the field. In the meantime, I ask those who arrive here filled with perhaps self-righteousness or readiness to do battle, to reflect in your hearts, for creating these moments of opening words actually wound those of us who speak them when our hopes for peacefulness and kindness are dashed. I am not so arrogant and stiff-necked as to say I have been without blemish in this regard. I am literally begging you, please show us the way. Please lead us by modeling a collaborative spirit. Please show us that you care about all of us, no matter what our affiliations, our religion, our background. You hold in your hands the possibility of civic discourse that is respectful and willing to meet part way and stepping out of the grinding, blind againstness.
I'm
That
sorry,
is-
Rabbi, your time is up. 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Any other public comment? Please come forward.
Keith Ashley, Leland Township. I share Rabbi Bailey's sentiments. I say it a bit differently. I offer a prayer to you. Lord, we are gathered here to conduct Leelanau County business. You have been asked for your guidance through religious pawns brought in to pray on behalf of the Republican commissioners. Please bear in mind they don't require your help. The Republicans make up the majority and can pass anything they want. Their prior actions reveal that you either didn't hear their prayers asking for wisdom or chose not to guide them. Either way, perhaps you could send a message to them advising that they not consult in private before making motions and holding votes on surprise topics to the other commissioners. Commissioner Robbins' surprise motion to reorganize the county government, quickly supported by the other 3 Republicans without discussion, reeks of having their met in private to work this out. The scant explanation for spending $250,000 smacks of retribution against the county clerk, who enjoys a widespread bipartisan following and has been honored and acknowledged for her many years of superior performance. The current domination of this board by Republicans puts bipartisan ideals in the ash can of folklore. It wasn't always this way, and it shouldn't remain this way. A lack of explanation accompanied by factual data on the need for 2 new department heads is an example of a very costly policy without bipartisan input. Open meeting laws are for a purpose, and this board appears on the surface to be in violation. If you intend to answer their prayers for guidance, maybe starting with the Open Meetings Act would be good. We have learned in the past that secrecy begets tyranny. Lord, many of us apologize to you for the actions of the board in adopting a public prayer policy. Some of us recognize the words in Matthew 6, where he states it best by saying, "Be careful not to practice righteousness in front of the others, be seen by them. If you do, you will have no place in heaven." We do appreciate this warning from you. We recognize this prayer policy as showboating for the Republicans' Christian constituency, and that it fails to take into account that perhaps you have much higher and more serious priorities, like answering the prayers of thousands of parents whose innocent children are suffering and dying in hospitals around the world. It appears you are already overwhelmed and lacking time. Are these frivolous county prayers not a display of arrogance on their part when you are so busy with real issues? Lord, we recognize that this prayer policy adheres to the objectives and guidelines of the Evangelical Theological Society, and we are concerned that it purposely only favors Christians. We are aware that their pluralism project is intended to introduce Christian prayer in public forums. The fact that our county is only 42% Christian concerns those of us who aren't of the same persuasion. We ask that you send these folks a message that they can probably handle the county's problems as they have for years prior without your assistance. As they know, and you surely know, the vast majority of comments to this policy by the citizens was in opposition, not in rejection of you, but rather opposed to the needless display of what should be one's private relationship with you. If they insist on involving you, we ask that since you are God and not Christ, that you give them the wisdom they seek, and that they need to involve all of your flock in these prayers, not just the Christians. They fail to recognize that you had other prophets besides Jesus Christ, making up 4,000 recognized religions in the world. Lord, even you acknowledge that most non-religious people wouldn't have a problem with religion if it was something benign and privately practiced, instead of being weaponized to oppress people, justify harmful beliefs and rituals, proselytize and convert, and infiltrate our government. I quote Robert Heinlein, "Almost any sect, cult, or religion will legislate its creed into law if it acquires the political power to do so. It is known that once you give a charlatan power over yourself, you almost never get it back." Lord, we ask that you inspire others in this room to rise and speak their mind. Lord, hear our prayer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, then we'll move on and move to our action items, since there are no, unless there's something from the.
No, they both had conflicts. We'll try to reschedule them.
All right, so we'll move on to the action items. First item is the early childhood work plan.
And you have revised the
Right.
contract for
There should be a
that was
revised one.
emailed to you yesterday.
Commissioner Sotis Little?
I apologize, give me just a moment here.
Dan, was that, it's right on the very front page, it's number 1.
Oh, here it is.
I labeled them.
It's because I put on my glasses. Can't see it there. Thank you. Okay, I move that the County Board of Commissioners, that Leelanau County's Corporate Council rewrite passages of the contract distributed on November 9th between the Leelanau County and Vince Leelanau District Health Department, extending the contract period through December 31st of 2024, and correcting the whereas and other passages to state that the reduction in the millage rate to 0.1988 mils applies only to the January to December 2022 calendar fiscal year. For future years, funding returns to the millage rate of up to 0.53 mils as approved by the voters on November 15th, 2019 to fund the program.
Support.
Any other comment? All those in favor?
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, last week during our discussion, we had talked about the millage funding. It says it returned to the rate of 0.253. However, the board, a new board, this board, any board has the right annually to determine what the millage rate is for this program according to the needs of the program.
Correct, that's correct, and that's why it's the up to in there. So it really just puts it back into the same position it was. We will look at it every year.
I was just common by law, you have to do that, and it is in the contract.
Right.
For the compensation that the board has to set the millage rate on the annual basis.
Any other questions or statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No,
Motion passes 5-2. All right, then we move on to the next one would be the Information Technology Department restructuring.
And based on the feedback last week, there are two suggested motions. One is to create the IT technician position, and the other one is to enter a contract with Safety Net.
Those are items 2A and 2B, and that they're, if someone wanted, Commissioner Calgair.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the creation of an information technology technician position effective February 1st, 2022, with a position added to the county staffing levels, budget to be adjusted.
Board. Any questions or statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. And we have B. Commissioner Elgato.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Safety Net of Traverse City for information technology service for a 5-year term effective April 1, 2022 to March 31st, 2027, as presented. The first year amount is $7,300 per month or $87,600 annually. Funds to come from Fund 636 000, lots of zeros, 801 000.
Support.
Pending council review and approval.
did we get that done? Council review and approval?
Not much.
Okay.
Support.
I'm sure we'll, because it's basically the same contract as we did originally, but we have not gotten that.
Any other questions or statements? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. That brings us then to the Sheriff's Office renewal agreement. Commissioner Rushton.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners allow Leelanau County and the Sheriff's Office to enter into an agreement with the Village of Suttons Bay to supply the village with one full-time deputy for the calendar year 2022, thus authorizing the board chairman and sheriff to sign the agreement.
Support.
Any questions, statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 7-0. brings us to the motor pool fund. Commissioner Rushing.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners allow the Sheriff's Office to order 3 Ford Interceptor SUVs from Signature Ford, not to exceed the amount of $102,607. Allow for the payment of the vehicles once delivered, and also allow the Sheriff's Office to outfit the vehicles with the necessary equipment. The total not to exceed $135,811, with the funds to come from the 2022 Motor Pool Fund, number 636.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. I'm sorry, well, no, motion passes 7-0. So that brings us to 4B. Commissioner Robbins.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve. Whoops, wrong one, sorry. I was on the pickup truck. I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve the purchase of 2 2021 Ford Rangers XL at the cost not to exceed $46,546, with funds coming from number 542-000-000-970-000.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. So then we'll go back to the maintenance truck.
Oh, I skipped that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, I thought.
I think you should read the pickup truck.
Okay, I'll do the
since you were
maintenance truck.
Fantasizing it.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve the purchase of a Chevrolet 2500 HD pickup truck from Todd Wenzel Buick, GMC of Westland, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $43,580. Funding to be determined in the spring of 2022.
Support.
Who seconded that? I didn't look down for a second.
What's
Who
that?
seconded that? I looked down.
Question. Any other questions or statements?
Should we ask if Commissioner Robbins gets to drive it home from Westland?
No.
And just one clarification for the audience or people watching it, we go through a state bid process, and that is why it's that dealer that's not local. It's a state bidding process where we get the best price as every unit of government does. And that's company decide to go through that process. Normally, we try to get bids locally, but it's a state bidding process. So I want anyone to think that we bypassed local dealers here.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. That brings us then to item 5A, which is the County Road Commission lease agreement. We do not have that at this time. So I think we would have to forego that. Is that correct, Trudy?
Yes, we do not have that.
Jody, could you come up for people?
Good evening. We had hoped to have this agreement back in time for you to act on it tonight, but we do not. Our attorney will be having a conversation on it later this week. So I'd like to see if we could move this to another meeting date.
I'm sure we can. And I don't know, are we on the 19th, are we having a committee of the whole?
It's a committee of the whole, but if the contract is ready, we could schedule a quick meeting after the committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, that's what I was going to suggest.
So that's what Trudy and I talked this morning, that if we get the contract back this week,
Okay,
we will schedule a meeting right after the committee.
we'll try to work with you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So then we'll skip I and go to double I. The proposed government center recycling site. Mr. Robbins.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept the recommendation from the Solid Waste Council and locate a recycling site at the Leelanau County Government Center property.
Support.
Any comments about this or questions? I mean, I would have to say, I would say I'm opposed to putting it here. I believe it's going to create too much traffic. Garbage trucks going through here, or I should recycling trucks, sorry. Yeah, but also, I talked with the sheriff about it, and he's a little concerned. I can't speak for him, but But he, I told him that there'll be people using it on the weekends and the evenings. And he talked to Jerry, and Jerry said he wanted it in the back. Mike told me that he would rather prefer it in the front, and the reasoning was, Jerry didn't want to have it on the gravel. And I said that it really, the one in Sutt's Bay at the road commission will be on gravel. I believe Leelanau Schools is on gravel. His Cedars, I think theirs is on gravel. So I don't see where gravel is the problem. So he would prefer it much better to be in front down here rather than around back where all the cars are traveling through here when people are not here. So that's just, and so I'm just concerned about that. And moving it here at the government center, I think is a bad idea to start with.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'm two things, but first a question. When you say front and back, I'm not sure I understand where you're referring.
Well, I believe Jerry wants it way around, and I call that the back, behind, on the other side of the inspections department.
If I may ask the
Yeah,
administrator,
because-
do you know?
Yeah, because Trudy and I and Jerry met last week about this. And the reason we're saying out there is good, because there's lighting down there. There's no lighting down below. There's camera there. There's no camera below. So we actually think it'd be safer down there. And the trucks coming to empty it will do it before 8:30 a.m. So there will not be traffic in terms of people coming in and the trucks going out. But that area is well lit and there's a camera there. And it's not taking parking away. Even when there are court sessions, that far corner has never been used for parking really. And there's a nice turnaround there for the trucks.
Well, that's helpful that it will be before 8:30.
Yeah. So we shouldn't have any conflict with the trucks emptying the bins.
Commissioner Roberts.
Chet already commented on it. I did talk to Mark from the GFL. He stated that the truck's probably looking at Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And they're gonna be in here between 8 and 8:30. They're probably in here before we're even open, so there shouldn't be an issue with the trucks.
They'll actually probably be here before 8. Well, we told them before 8:30, so we not have traffic.
Well, is there gonna be signs, because I'm a little concerned about people going behind the jail or going behind, just not knowing where they're gonna be. Especially when we have so many, visitors who come and on their last day on the weekends, they come bring their garbage. They're not gonna know where it is if they only here once a year. And I'm sorry to call it garbage, it's recycling material.
Well, and certainly, if it turns out to be a big problem, we can always change it.
Okay. Well, I'm just concerned that they'll be wandering around.
Well, the signage, we can take care of sign. I'm sure Trudy can make
Yeah,
signage.
we'll work on that.
There are signs back there that says, do not enter police vehicles only, so forth. And so I'm sure we can take care of the signs. But I think we'd have 95 to 99% of people that recycle do a great job. We have a small percentage of people that leave garbage behind. I think the odds of that would be greater in an area that's unlit and unsupervised with no camera than up here. And people know that there's cameras here, so they're just driving up. And we do monitor people driving up now because there's camera up here. So if there is garbage left behind, we can find out who that person was or who that vehicle was.
And my other concern is that it's gonna encourage Leland not to do their site. We're gonna take the place of Leland producing another recycling site. So, and you've stated that before, but I do think that it could be encouraged if we would not promote it here. But it's a township by township voting, but we're making it only a county issue. All right, any other questions or statements?
Would you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Well, each township votes it in or can vote it out. Is that correct, Teresa?
Yes, we cannot, when you say it's done individually, it's that we cannot apply that recycling fee in a community where it didn't pass.
And
It
that
can
happened-
pass countywide and not pass in a community, which we had several years ago.
Right, I remember Bingham was not voted no on it once, and so no one in Bingham Township could use the recycling. So when I say each township has passed this individually, but each township is not putting up a recycling site. And it's tending to go more and more to the public entities. And, where I should say the county entities or the schools. And it really needs to be taken, the township's supposed to take charge of their own recycling, and they're not doing it. So I think that we're encouraging it now. Was there any other questions or statements? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Okay, thank you for that. So then we move on to the Solid Waste Council membership reduction. Commissioner.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept the recommendation of the Solid Waste Council and reduce membership to 12 members with no designated interest or category.
Support.
Commissioner Rushton.
I have a couple questions for Trudy in regards to this. Trudy, by changing the structure of the Solid Waste Council, does that in any way infringe on your, their ability to take advantage of either federal or state grants?
No, that body was set up for 14 members under Part 115 of Natural Resources Protection Act, which specifies how it's to be set up and how the membership is to be set up to amend or update your plans. And since they've made the decision not to amend the plan at this time, we don't have to keep the 14 members or those categories, but it would not impact anything else.
So in all reality, the size of that board can be considerably less than 12 members as well.
It can be. My recommendation to them, and Commissioner Lautner can correct me on this or add anything from the meeting, my recommendation was to go to 7 or 9 members. They wanted to go to 12 at this time because there's 2 open positions and just not fill those open positions.
That's interesting. So is there a motion on the table?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to amend the motion to reflect a 9-member board at this time.
Support.
Commissioner Rushton, did you want to speak to that?
No, I think
Okay.
well, yes, I apologize. I will speak to that. I think any board, the bigger a board is, the harder to get things done. I think I originally had thought a 7-member board might work better for you, but I thought, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, give you the 2 extra to see how that works for you over the course of the next year, or, if you come back to us in 6 months and say, hey, we need more, we would do better with less, then we can look at it at that time. So if I may ask you, your recommendation again was 7 to 9?
Yeah.
And that was because you felt that that board could do the work that that board needs to do with that many people?
Yes, and I think it falls more in line with some of the other membership that we see on other boards and committees. And we have several people whose terms are expiring, so that takes us down, I don't have the form in front of me right now, but I think that takes us down to about 7 or 8 members, something like that.
And historically, have we had a lot of requests to sit on that board? Or have we found ourselves too short on that board of members?
I think the only time we've had difficulties is filling the categories, not actual applicants.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Lopez.
I'm going to hold my thought for now.
Mr. Alder.
So there are people whose terms are expiring, so you
Yes.
could go down to
You know,
9. And you think that's a good number?
I do.
Yes.
Trudy, regarding the categories, were you recommending that the categories be kept? And was this all
No.
this council, or you were recommending to eliminate the categories.
I'm recommending to eliminate the categories. Again, the categories are only set up under Part 115 for amending or updating your plan. Many communities have a solid waste council or a board, and then this 14 members is called a Solid Waste Management Planning Committee for the purpose of amending and updating the plan. It can be the same exact group, which is how Leelanau County was all set up, or it could be two different groups. So you don't need the 14 members until you're actually going to be doing that amendment or update to the plan.
So in our amendment, does it say without categories, or I didn't hear whether that was
I
included?
think we've already passed the one without categories.
So we're fine
We're
with
just
that.
looking at whether we reduce it to
To
12 or
14.
or 9.
We had the motion on there to go with reduce the membership to 12 members with no designated interest or categories. And that was by Wessel, supported by Algier, and then Commissioner Rushton made amendment to reflect a 9-member board. So all she was talking about is then taking the 12 and moving it down to 9.
So
Correct.
So that's what's on the floor right now.
Okay.
Everything else is, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, no, thank you.
A question for Trudy. Trudy, your original recommendation was 7 or 9.
Yeah.
Your solid waste council voted for 12. You're still supporting 7 to 9.
Yes, 12 is fine too. It doesn't matter to me. I just
So
want
you
to get
don't
it.
have a recommendation.
It just needs to be set for next year, so we know how many people need to get appointed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or statements?
Are you rescinding your statement that you made the recommendation 7 to 9?
No, I can't rescind that because that is what I said.
Okay, thank you.
So that we'll first vote on the amendment, and that's for 9 members in the solid waste council. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The amendment passes 7-0. So then we will now have the amended motion, and which would be now to change it actually to 9 members.
Wait a minute, I think you've done this backwards.
I thought that's what we just voted on.
We voted on the amendment to change the motion from 12 to 9. Now we're voting on the full motion as
Okay.
with the
With the-
amendment at
okay.
9.
Thank you.
Is that,
It's clear for me. Thank you.
okay? Any other questions? I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. All right, so then now we'll move to the changes. We need to do changes on the policy.
Yes.
Commissioner Webb.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept the changes to the policy for the use of PA 69 funds as presented by the Solid Waste Council.
Second.
Any questions, statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Then that brings us to the Planning and Community Development EPA Assessment Grant. Commissioner Elgin.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the submittal of the EPA assessment grant application by the due date of December 1, 2021.
Support.
Any questions or statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
that brings us to senior services. The acceptance of anonymous donation.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rushton.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the Leelanau County Senior Services accepting a contribution from an anonymous donor totaling $500 and be placed into Leelanau Senior Services Christmas Stockings account 28160675001. Support. And I have a question for Chad in regards to that, if I may.
Certainly.
When we talk about anonymous donors, if we're requested by the general public for that information, what is our responsibility?
We have to give it to them.
We have to give
Yeah.
it to them?
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't publish it on the agenda, but if anyone files a FOIA request or requests information, we have to give it to them.
thank you.
And we always inform the donors of that.
Okay, thank you.
Does it keep a FOIA request?
No, I mean, someone called and asked, it depends what the wishes of the donors are. If they say, we don't want our names, but people ask, give it to them, we'll do that. If they say no, then no. But a FOIA would supersede their request, and we let the donors know in advance if that's the case. Because it is a public document and a record.
Yes, and I just wanted that for the benefit of the audience. Thank you.
Any other questions or statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. So that brings us to the Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan's potential approval of the MIPA grant. Commissioner Rushing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve that Leelanau County Senior Services enter into an agreement with the Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan, also known as AAANM, to provide MIPA beneficiary outreach and assistance services for seniors. The contract agreement will begin this year, September 1st, 2021, and continue through September 30th of 2022.
Support.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. So then that brings us to the year-end adjustments for the county clerk. Commissioner Walker.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve and authorize the county clerk to make any year-end adjustments and transfers deemed necessary to avoid year-end deficits in various departments' budgets within the general fund. No transfers, adjustments shall go beyond the funds in contingency. All transfers and adjustments require the signature of the county clerk.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. So that brings us then to the Freeman Robson LLC for the ACA forms preparation agreement renewal. Commissioner Sotos.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners waive bid policy and approve the services agreement with Freeman Robson LLC for services outlined in the agreement relative to the Affordable Care Act, funds to come from accounting, contractual services 101.825.201.801.000 at the rates outlined in Schedule A, services and fees.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. I'm sorry, say no. Motion is passed 7-0. Thank you. And that brings us to administration and the Grand Rivers Band 2%. Commissioner Helgar.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from the Board of Commissioners on behalf of Namadzuin for cultural awareness in the amount of $77,063 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Support. Any questions or statements? I just had a couple here. I put, it appears, I just wondered why we only, one culture seems to be brought forward continually. You know, and then I just wonder if the county should be picking cultures to promote and support. And is promoting Indigenous people for the county a new project that we've never been in before. And then where's the equity in continually featuring of the Indigenous people of the Grand Traverse Band? I'd also say, I think that when we had them here for the prayer, they said part of their culture is their prayer to the spirit and part of their religion. So are we going to be teaching Indigenous people's religion through this culture when we support it? So I'm opposed to us placing this as giving them the money and then they do with it as they please. I don't know how we're going to oversee or, you know, make sure that this is done for the whole county. I mean, it's supposed to be. I'm baffled by this being on our agenda to ask for the 2% taxes from the the Grand Traverse Band and then basically giving it back to them through their members. Commissioner West.
Just one clarification, the grant is not to give it back to the tribe.
No,
There are tribal members that have formed a nonprofit. So it is separate from the tribe.
thank you. Any other questions or say none? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Thank you. Then that's Senior Services, the LCN, Neighborhood Assistance Ministry. Commissioner Wesson.
Yes, I move that the Leland County Board of Commissioners approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from Senior Services for LCN Neighborhood Assistance Ministry in the amount of $20,000 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Support.
Any questions or statements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. No. Well, let's ask a roll call, please.
Commissioner Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Alguier,
Yes.
Chairman Bonick,
No.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
No.
Commissioner Rushton,
No.
Commissioner Sotosley.
Yes.
4-3.
Motion passes 4-3.
And that was on
Senior Services, LCN.
LCN.
All right, so then that brings us to the Sheriff's Office purchase of narcotic analyzed.
I would make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from the Sheriff's Office for the purchase of narcotics analyzers in the amount of $32,800 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. That then brings us to the Solid Waste Council tire recycling. Commissioner Sotosley.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from the Solid Waste Council for tire recycling in the amount of $10,000 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the mattress recycling. Commissioner Elgare.
I move that motion by Lautner. What?
Oh,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
That's me just.
These were so perfect, I just was gonna read it. I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from the Solid Waste Council for mattress recycling in the amount of $6,000 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Then it's the 13th Judicial Circuit Court. Commissioner Western.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the second cycle 2% allocation request from the 13th Judicial Circuit Court, Child and Family Services, Safe Haven, in the amount of $5,000 from Leelanau County to the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. That would then bring us to B, and approval of job descriptions. First one is the Finance Director, Commissioner Robbins.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the job description of the finance director that has been provided by the administrator upon his research.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I would just like to comment that while I support the description, I don't support the method for the position.
Thank you for that.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you for that. So then that brings us to the Human Resources Director.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the job description for the Human Resources Director that has been provided by the administrator upon his research for Human Resources Department and to be implement the process as soon as possibly going forward.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Motion passes 4-3.
Oh.
Is that correct?
Actually, I voted for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5-2.
Okay. Who were the two, Wessel and?
Wessel and Elgar.
I just believe that we should wait until we have a new administrator.
Is this comment time?
You may- if
I
you
should
may
have said
comment.
that beforehand.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't really ask this, so I'm sorry. So go ahead.
I just believe that that should be the decision for the administrator, and that we shouldn't foreclose on the options of anyone that comes to this county. And there hasn't been a defined need. That's my comment.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, so then we would move to the Senior Services Care Coordinator.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the job descriptions for the Senior Services Care Coordinator and Senior Services Aging Well Resource Coordinator as presented.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Then we go to the, did you do the age well? I think we have to do that one yet.
Both combined into
They
one.
were combined, okay, thank you. So then we're now at the American Rescue Plan Act, broadband surveying funding, and we have a motion written that we'd like to read for Commissioner Commissioner Rushton.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve funding through the American Recoveries Act funding account 101-225-425-967-021 for $47,400 as outlined in the approved motion number 091-042-02021. Regular session is read. Motion by Sotis Little that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners waive the bid requirements to fund the rural broadband survey proposal submitted by DCS Technology Design, LLC, that will provide Leelanau County with data necessary to create a plan for enhancing high-speed internet across the county in the amount of $47,400. At the time this motion was made, it was made with funds to come from the general fund pending review of the county's legal counsel. So today, with my motion, I ask for a change.
Or
Any comments?
None.
Commissioner Elgar, did you?
That's where the money's coming from. It's a change in where the money will come from.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. So then that brings us to the potential additional MERS payment. Commissioner Wessel.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve an additional $250,000 to be put towards the MERS unfunded liability from the general fund as was presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. So that brings us to amendments and transfers.
Review of financials, I think. on the
I'm
agenda.
sorry. Oh, yeah, I better go through this in order. Review of financials. Sorry. Just go like this.
You're on a roll. I think it was, it may be in just a late, I don't know if it was late, but there was child care funds, it's like 2 different batches of sweatshirts ordered out of Amazon. Do you know what those, what we were ordering a bunch of sweatshirts for? Children's sweatshirts? It's on page 1.
Joe ordered them to refill later.
Oh, they were out of them, and it was to backstock for any kids that may need them.
So they keep on hand sweatshirts for those kids who don't have enough warm clothing.
And I can certainly get more if you want info on that about qualifications.
There's pants, sweatpants too.
And there's some men's sweatpants also.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Men's
now
size, I
I'm
should
just
say.
curious about what they, I didn't realize they kept any on hand.
Probably just a few for those instances, even if they do those activities and it gets cold and someone's not, doesn't have it for whatever
Properly
reason.
dressed. Okay, thank you. I think that was the only.
And that, I guess that brings it up, when I look at that, there's very, many purchases through Amazon. And I thought we had a policy to try to buy local, or don't we have a policy for that?
How much is a policy, but we make efforts to buy local. I don't know what
Yeah.
the specific issues. I know when possible, we try and buy, but sometimes it's just not available, or there's a tremendous cost difference. Or when it can be shipped versus when it's ordered locally.
It looks like it's now gotten to be a habit of just going to Amazon to get it. And we're not really making an effort to find it locally.
I can bring
Just
that up
when
in
I
this
look at
department.
We
You know.
we utilize Amazon a lot for price.
Yeah.
For finding what we need, and it is a savings financially to the county to do that, so usually substantially.
I know that, but we can be hurting our own local businesses by doing that. And I am concerned about it. But I just wanted to make the statement because it seems to be growing that, it's getting easier to just order it and have it delivered than call or look for it in another place. And I hope we would try to be more conscious about that.
I will bring it up in the next department meeting, if that's valid.
I appreciate that.
So
Thank
like
you.
order from Staples, because they're in town.
I don't know, something, I don't want to run our local businesses out of business, Was there anything else on financials? About any committee reports, recommendations, or resolutions? Special reports. Commissioner West.
For those that have not completed the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Survey, that'd be helpful to get before Thursday's board meeting. And Laurel sent it all to us, it's online. If you can get that in, that's on the agenda for the Thursday board meeting. And they do use those results.
Well, and as far as the airport, we had a meeting this afternoon, and it's moving forward with getting all the policies and the contracts all changed to the NRAA instead of the commission. So there's a lot of work being done and done. And so, we're just so it's happening little by little, and they've had a really tremendous year, as Kevin reported here.
Some of those mundane operations, it seems like it's taking most of the meeting times.
Apparently they had ice there today.
Yes. And they're having trouble with some of their machines, so there's a report on that. It's not all fun. All right, and that would bring us to public comment. Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Paul Christofferson. I donated books last month, and I was going to read an excerpt last month, and I was going to read it before, but if I may this time. The story is about a granddaughter of a Lakota Sioux elder in South Dakota who contacted an author in northern Minnesota who wrote about the indigenous folks in northern Minnesota to come out and write her grandfather's story. And her name is Winona, and the author is Nurburn. And Nurburn was upset with Dan the elder because he thought he was being mistreated and stuff like that. So this is the little excerpt. Winona's shadow reappeared in the doorway. She opened the door and stepped out onto the wooden stoop. There was a tattered manila envelope in her hand. "Come here, Nurburn," she said. I walked up the steps. She was holding a jumble of sepia photographs. She handed me one. It was of a little boy in a military suit with a pair of heavy black shoes. He looked like a little Civil War or Spanish-American war soldier. "You know who that is?" she asked. "It's my grandfather," she said without waiting for an answer. "You know what he's wearing? A little wool suit made out of U.S. Army uniforms. You know why he's wearing it? Because he was kidnapped from his parents and taken to a boarding school where they cut off his hair and burned the leather leggings and moccasins that his mother had made for him with her own hands. And you know why his parents didn't come and get him? Because his dad was arrested when he complained about the police taking his son away to school. You think you know everything, Nurburn, but you don't know anything." She handed me another photo. It was a big white wooden barn-like building. "Do you know what that is?" "It looks like a dormitory or old boarding school," I said. "It's the place where they made him kneel on marbles and hold his arms out to the side for a half hour if they caught him speaking his language. It's the place where they made him line up with all the other kids and open his mouth for a dentist who took pliers and pulled out every tooth that didn't look right and never gave anyone any Novocaine. It's the place where he started wetting his bed and the matron tied the skin on the end of his penis shut with fish line every night until he got an infection so bad that he almost died." She shoved the photographs back into the envelope and folded it shut. "He doesn't do what white men want anymore, Nurburn." She stood up and walked into the house. I looked at Fatback, and that's their dog, who was engrossed in chewing on her own rectum. "Christ," I said, and climbed back into the safety of my own truck. That's the story of the elder. So it's a good book. You know, I think it would be helpful if lots of folks read it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please come forward.
Keith Ashley, Leelanau Township. I applaud your position, Commissioner Bunnick, on being concerned about the local businesses versus the billion-dollar Amazon that's taken over this country, part of the world. I'd like to see that same concern for the nickels and dimes that would be saved by shopping locally, to see your support to have better explanations as to why we're going to spend $250,000 for a couple of job descriptions that I dare say most of the people in this county do not have a clue as to what is the need. You as a board have failed to explain to the citizens of this county what the need is for these two positions. And 4-3 was the vote to go ahead with that. And you're rushing headlong into it. You've approved whatever the job descriptions are tonight. I'd like to ask you to direct the county administrator, Mr. Janik, to write a letter or write a story, whatever the case may be, submit to an interview from the Leelanau Enterprise and explain in great detail why we need these two positions and how much they're really going to cost with all the ancillary expenses with staff and maybe a couple of cars. I don't know what you all give them, but this county needs and deserves a better explanation than what I've heard sitting in these meetings since May when this first was brought up. And I know in your executive meetings, you talk a lot about it, and I haven't gone to any of those, so I apologize for not being so smart about it. But most of the citizens of this county are not going to be at those meetings. They're not at these meetings, and that's not unusual. But I think you owe it to this citizenry to have the administrator at least, or yourself, put together a good explanation to the citizens of why we're spending this money. I ask you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on then to commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments? Being none, then we'll move on to approval of financials. Commissioner Lochner.
I would move to approve fiscal year 2021 fund transfer number 21-007.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes 7-0.
I would move to approve the amendment 21-008 and 21-009.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. And we also have another one here, I think, that's recommended.
I would move to approve fiscal year 2021 amendment number 21-010.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0.
I move to approve claims and accounts in the amount of $205,482.49.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. And post audit.
I would move to approve post audit $11,917,416.64.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes 7-0. Any other questions or statements?